Good afternoon, Rich Pope here at the Orlando Sentinel. We are here for a live update on Hurricane Matt. Newest update has the hurricane at a Category 3 storm right now. It's 115 miles per hour. Granted, that is getting to be a weaker Category 3 storm. Currently, it's 40 miles off of St. Augustine. And today, alongside me for this update, I have breaking news reporter Renee Stutzman. I have social media reporter Jessica Gillespie. She's been with us all day. And also, thankfully, back in-house, we have Kayla O'Brien, who has been out and about. She is here to tell us about what she's seen, and I know that's not for long because I think you're going to be heading back out pretty soon.
Yes, going to Lake County, so it'll be exciting.
Okay, well great. Let's go ahead and talk with Renee right now. Renee, why don't you go ahead and give us an update as far as where the storm is, strengths, and what can be expected right now still?
Well, for Florida, our part of Florida, the news is good news.
Okay.
The danger substantively has passed. The storm now is north of Volusia County. The eye of the storm, it's out in the ocean, and it's not moving toward Florida's coast anymore because the coast dips inward.
Okay.
The storm is moving north, so there's greater distance between land and the storm. That's good news for people living on the land. As you said, it's moving at 115 miles per hour. The National Hurricane Center indicates that it's going to be about the same strength for the next 6 hours and then begin to weaken, and that is good news.
That is great news.
It looks like things are looking better for the state of Georgia as well. South Carolina, that's not clear.
Okay, that has been great, considering that the storm seems to keep staying off the coast, which is, I mean, ideal for all of us here in Central Florida. Granted, I know Volusia County is still taking quite a beating. It seems like originally Brevard was expected to take the hit, but it seems like Volusia is kind of taking the brunt of Central Florida's hit right now.
That's right. Things are still rocking and rolling and a little bit rough in Volusia County. In fact, emergency services are not responding to all emergencies in the east part of the county because it's not safe for those first responders to get there. There have been sustained winds in Volusia reported at 100 miles per hour.
Okay, that's still strong for
and
sure.
Some roads are blocked. There have been power outages. A lot of Volusia County is without power. Power companies hope to get the folks there restored pretty quickly. I know of no deaths or injuries in Volusia County. There's been one death associated with the storm, and that was in St. Lucie County. A woman in her 50s suffered a heart attack about 1:30, and emergency crews couldn't get to her till about 6:30. So that's the one known fatality in Florida. But back to Volusia County. There's been severe beach erosion. There have been trees into buildings. The reports I've seen have been about 24 of those. There have also been roofs ripped from buildings and some flooding.
I have a report here from Stephanie Allen that's been on OrlandoSentinel.com. She's out there with Charles King at the Emergency Operations Center. They rode the storm out there, and she reported that the end of the sun globe here in Daytona Beach was gone. So they had some damage there. That's something she was reporting there. So Volusia County still taking a beating, and as you said, still getting some of those gusts as it continues to move towards the state. Let's go ahead and check in with Jessica. Jessica is monitoring our Facebook feeds, our Twitter feeds, and we are taking questions live. So if you have any questions, go ahead and send them in. Jessica, anything coming through right now?
We're talking about curfews here. I'm chatting with some people here on Facebook. Some of them don't know. They're in Seminole County. They don't know. Seminole just lifted its curfew. It was kind of shock. We were monitoring their Twitter feed, and they just kind of tweeted about a few minutes after too and said that the curfew was up. So if you are in Seminole County right now, they still advise you to be very cautious if you do need to leave the house or your shelter for any reason to drive. There's a lot of debris still out there that hasn't been able to get picked up, but the curfews are lifted in Seminole and in Orange. But officials are advising people in both counties to be just very cautious and very aware because there's some stuff on the roads.
Obviously curfews are still in place in Volusia, correct, for the storm, or do we?
I should really hope so.
Yes.
Their curfew is to expire at 7 a.m. on Saturday.
And I know with a lot of this damage, can we get a little bit of a damage report? I know not much has been assessed because the storm is still happening, but what can you say, any reports of damage, say, not necessarily Volusia, but here around in the other surrounding counties, interior counties? Any word on that?
Well, things have not been as bad as forecasters had predicted. In Osceola County, that's a landlocked county, the St. Cloud Police Department and the City of St. Cloud has deactivated its emergency operations center. So things are looking considerably better there. The curfew in Orange County has been lifted. It ended as of 2 p.m. And what started the day as a really iffy day in those inland counties, Orange, Osceola, Lake, things have grown increasingly quiet, and folks in those emergency operation centers are getting more confident.
I know that's good news. Let's go ahead and talk with Kayla. Kayla, you were out there, a bit of an adventure, and I know you've been going since last night, even starting, say, at a pizza place, which to all of us here, we're like, hey, that sounds really good.
I always try to find the really, investigative stories, like what pizza places are open during the hurricane. So,
Okay, well, I know as the storm started taking effect here in Central Florida, you did actually go out, and you started at Lake Eola. What was it like out there?
I did. It was pretty calm. I went out there around 8 a.m., so the streets were a little bit filled with debris, not too bad.
Okay.
Didn't see many drivers on the roads, a few policemen, that sort of thing. But yeah, it was a little bit choppy on the lake, but the swans were there.
I know that was a huge concern for the swans.
Everyone was talking about the swans, and they were just kind of hanging out as if nothing was happening, just going about their day. So Lake Eola was all right. I heard on social media some people had started going to the lake and walking around, seeing some of the damage later on in the day. So not too much going on there. Not the same necessarily in Sanford, which is where we ended up after Lake Eola, and it was more hurricane-like feel. So as you saw in our live shot at 11, winds were blowing. Right here, the footage you see, there was some flooding in the streets. Part of a tree fell down, blocking part of the road. So this is where we really started to see, okay, it feels like a hurricane has come through here and left some damage.
Yeah, I know at some point we did have that footage of you standing in that water, which, seeing you out there, you were quite a trooper. I have to give you that.
That was about 6 inches deep in the middle of the deepest part, and there's that stop sign that really was concerning me that it was going to come out of the ground and hit our car, so we got out of there pretty quickly. But thankfully, I had my rain boots on because otherwise I'd be totally soaked. But no cars were really coming through, and we actually got stopped. My photographer and I got stopped by Sanford Police, and they said, "Are you, aware that there's a curfew?" And we said, "We're from media," and they let us go. But they were really concerned about people driving on the roads like in those conditions.
No, as expected. I know you're still damp because you haven't quite changed yet. I know you mentioned you're heading back out, right?
We're about to go to Astor in Lake County, so that's in between Daytona Beach and Ocala. So we heard there's some flooding from the rivers up there, so we're going to go check that out and see what the damage is up there.
Well, like I said, happy to have you back. And I know it's been a bit of an adventure,
and then head back out. So we're glad that we're not going into more damaging areas. We're pretty happy with what we've seen so far.
That's great. So Renee, I'm going to go ahead and touch base with you. We did mention flooding in Sanford. Can you give me any more reports of flooding that you have? Do you know of anything happening flood-wise?
The flooding issues in our general area were more significant this morning. There's still some issues in Volusia County. There's an off-ramp that has some problems. FHP is asking people to be careful of driving through standing water. Do not do that. They warn us. Otherwise, there was flooding reported earlier on Merritt Island and in Longwood. That doesn't seem to be such a great concern now.
Okay, that's good news. So as the storm starts leaving the area, it's easy to let our guard down. I'm gonna go ahead and talk with you, Jessica, about this because it's not necessarily safe yet. I know the storm's gone, but there's still injuries that happen after the storm. It seems like a lot of times, that's a dangerous time as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So unfortunately, like the most dangerous or more of the hurricane deaths happen after the hurricane, and that's not even. It's because of how people are going out after the hurricane and thinking that maybe it's safe when it's not. You need to be aware of heights. If you're climbing on any ladders, to check on your roof. If you're climbing on your roof, you need to please do that cautiously. Have somebody holding on into any ladders, and only do it when it's that it's as safe as you can be. Avoid standing water. I'm from South Florida, and in some hurricanes in the past, we had some snakes and things in the water that we didn't really. So we just had to be very careful and not go into that standing water. You don't want anything poisonous to bite you, and you could get very sick from that.
Or electrical wires that come down.
Those do fall. We heard earlier, Jacob Langston was reporting there was a downed wire somewhere in Seminole County. So if those get into water, obviously that's very dangerous.
Absolutely.
So wear safety gear, watch for fire hazards. And this is something that maybe people aren't thinking about as much is be careful what you're eating because some of that food may have spoiled and you could get sick and get food poisoning. So, you could get, just end up on the couch some more for a few more days if you're eating some of that spoiled food. So, if you're outside after this, after the storm passes, just watch where you're walking. Wear protective shoes.
Okay.
I've seen pictures of people out there in flip-flops in their yards. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, keep
the boots out.
Keep yourself protected. So those are some suggestions for hurricane safety post-hurricane.
Right, I guess it just seems to keep your wits about you. I guess that's the main thing. Let's talk about
Keep
that
aware.
power outages. Renee, it seems like we do have quite a bit of power outages in the state of Florida. Can you update us a little bit on that as well?
Yeah, the governor's office is keeping folks updated on power outages. Statewide, he reported during the lunch hour that 800,000 people were without power.
Wow.
That's quite a bit.
The majority of that is in our area, in Central Florida, 500,000 outages. Crews, power companies say, are out as quickly as they can get them safely out and getting power restored. And we're seeing reports that that's happening. There'll be an outage and bing, bang, boom, power is back on.
Okay. All right. For those of you just tuning in, this is a live update on Hurricane Matthew. As of right now, the storm is 115 miles per hour, a weaker Category 3. It is 40 miles off of St. Augustine, 60 miles from Jacksonville Beach. So it is still working its way through Central Florida. Volusia taking pretty much the biggest beating of it right now as it continues to leave outside the area. I want to go ahead and touch back with Jessica one more time before we start wrapping up here. As far as any more questions, concerns that we need to answer at this point?
Now, I can't remember. Is Lake County under a curfew or being asked?
You've stumped me on that one. Okay.
All right.
I can't remember Lake County.
Yeah, I don't think we've heard from them
ever?
lately.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely have that
We'll
information
check on that,
on
and
OrlandoSentinel.com
when we figure it out,
for
we'll comment on this post to tell you if Lake's under a curfew right now.
Okay. And as far as openings, I know some places are starting to open, correct?
Some places are starting to open. We've got our retail and restaurants reporter, Kyle Arnold, is tweeting. A few minutes ago, he says curfews may have been lifted, but there's a closed Home Depot in Oviedo. Now, remember, just because the curfews are open now or are done now, that doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be places for you to go and stores and restaurants for you to go to, because the people who work there have been under curfew also and have been at home in shelters with their family and friends. So, it's going to take some time to get them back to work.
Right.
You need to be careful on the roads. Nobody's on them right now, but we might have a big influx of cars out there. Now, this is a good tweet from Kyle a couple hours ago. He took a walk around the area where we are here in downtown Orlando and said a quick trip out on the street showed him that tattoo parlors, psychics, and Slurpee vendors were braving Hurricane Matthew and were open. So you are in luck if you were looking for a Slurpee. He said 7-Eleven had decided to open a few of its stores in Orange County. At the time, maybe more people are open now. He said this was 2 hours ago. Wawa was still closed.
Okay.
So there's a handful of stores that are, we're still waiting to hear on if they're going to open. We don't really know about any major supermarkets or anything, or any big box stores that you might regularly shop at. So.
I know that cabin fever is probably starting to set in for a lot of people and probably ready to start making their way out. I do want to point out that all information on OrlandoSentinel.com is currently available unrestricted, free, so please use that as a resource during this storm right now as it starts wrapping up. Renee, I want to touch base one last time with you about Tropical Storm Nicole that's downgraded, no longer a hurricane. Can you tell me a little bit about that storm right now?
In terms of us being concerned for our safety, to Tropical Storm Nicole, we can say,
okay.
The winds.
I think that all of us are like
Nicole is well to the east of Florida, and she ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
The folks at the National Hurricane Center say she's blowing at 70 miles an hour, and she's going to weaken and dissipate.
She's just spinning out there and going away. What can we have something else we need to touch in?
So thanks to our colleague Charles Minshew, who's also watching the live stream. If you guys haven't seen in the comments, Lake County is not under a curfew.
Oh, that's good.
We also have some theme park news.
Okay.
Thanks, Charles. And some theme park news. Any of you guys wanting to go out to Disney? Disney is going to open up tomorrow. Some of the parks will be open by about 8 a.m. And so they're ready to go. Fun Spot is opening up tonight at 6.
Okay.
They announced that before even the curfews were lifted, so that was interesting. And I can't actually now remember if we've heard from Universal.
Okay.
But Disney is for sure opening up all 4 of its main parks tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Or some of them at 8.
All right, well, that's great news. So I guess we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up here. Renee, thank you so much. Appreciate all that information. Jessica, thank you for being here. You've been a great asset for us. And Kayla, I know you're heading back out. I want to ask you to be safe, and I appreciate all your information you've given us today. So for OrlandoSentinel.com, Rich Pope, please keep an eye on OrlandoSentinel.com as well for live updates. We'll see you again back here at 5 p.m.